Hi, we're here today with Robin Wheelwright, who we have come to know and love. Give me a little handshake.
Oh, hi there.
She was one of the first people we met when we moved to Portland.
Love is love.
And I adore everything she does. I'm quite the bibliophile myself for anything. And then you come in here and it's all these walls of cookbooks and stuff that's old stuff that's almost falling apart that you can look at, and so it's like history and cooking and fun appliances and
Where are we?
We're here in Wonderland.
And roller skates.
We're not in roller skates. We're at the cookbook store.
We're at the cookbook store.
Yeah.
So anyway,
You have not yet said the name of it.
I'm sorry, we're at Vivienne's, and it is what, Alberta?
Vivienne Culinary Books, 2724 Northeast Alberta Street in Portland, Oregon.
There you go. I should know that, but thank you for saying it.
Oh yeah, no
I
worries.
do
You're good. I had to be on. I had to say something.
You got a plug.
Yeah.
Promote.
So anyway, we're just so delighted to be here with her and talk about what she's got going here. I just encourage you to take some time to come down and take a look at this. It'll make you feel good.
It's magical. It's like being transported.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah. That's really
So,
sweet.
Robin, how did you get this idea?
This was my pandemic pivot.
Your pandemic pivot.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what was before?
Did you know Vivienne, before it was Vivienne Culinary Books, used to go by the name Vivienne Kitchen and Pantry, and it was a breakfast and lunch restaurant.
Oh.
We were located on Sandy Boulevard next to the Hollywood Theater. We opened in 2016, and we operated until like September 2021. So we did a year and a half of the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
And none of the other pivots, all the twirling that everyone was doing, that didn't make any sense to me. And I had a lot of time on my hands because business was so slow. So I came up with this idea.
Great.
I wanted to have a cookbook store. I wanted to have vintage kitchenwares was kind of the idea. And that's turned into, quality used kitchen consignment business that we do here. And that's also turned into a consignment business for cookbooks, which is super fun. Like you were talking about, all the little old bits and bobs are that part of the business. But then we also do all the new bookstore kind of things too. So all the new cookbooks, not all of them because there are just too many of them, but we pick our favorite new cookbooks and and we sell them here, and we have authors come in here, and we throw events in this space, and that was how it came about. And we also do cooking classes here too. So it was sort of my idea changing from that restaurant business model was like, let's put our pans in a couple different, how do you say that analogy?
Pans in the fire.
Yeah, we need a couple pans in the fire because it's just like having or a couple of baskets for our eggs. I'm not sure how to say it, but we have classes and we have consignment and we have new books and we have used books. So we have like a kind of a robust business model is what I'm trying to articulate.
I like that word.
And you recently hosted a get-together for the NA cocktail.
Yeah, we did an Ever After pop-up.
Yeah.
With our friend Ariel Dunnins-Johnson, and we had Chef Gabe Rucker come, and also Chef Micah Paredes came, and we had a conversation about being in the restaurant industry and not drinking. And then in January, Katy Perry, the singer, sent us some NA beverages, and we shared them with everybody who bought a book.
Oh, that's
in
cool.
The store.
Look at you.
So yeah.
Cool.
We sell wine here too.
Yeah.
but yeah, sometimes it's good to not drink.
Yeah. Sometimes it is.
Sometimes it is, and sometimes it's not. Everything in moderation is sort of the key.
Including moderation.
But we're also a zero waste company, and so we think about things like single use beverages. And, I don't know what we should do. Drink some good water.
Water. Cheers.
Water.
That's not contaminated with anything.
I've been reading good things about the Willamette River. Things are on the
We have a triple osmosis portable plug-in water filter system.
You are such a
here,
restaurant
so,
person.
Yeah.
Mine's sitting in the warehouse from the wine bar, and I look at it when I go get the magazines.
Well, and so what year did you say? 22, 21, 22?
The bookstore opened in December of 2021, and then 1 year ago we moved to this location. On Alberta Street.
Well, it's lovely. There's so much light and bright, and I did not get to go into your former spot, but this is just lovely. So tell me about what excites you about this.
About the whole store?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just sort of the dream, to be amongst all the cookbooks and to be able to learn from them. I really utilize cookbooks to enhance the skill set that I have as a cook.
Mm-hmm.
So I think fundamentals are really important, and once you learn those, you're able to take a cookbook and work with it and learn from it. And so I love being around all of those things. I've always loved books. And I love being a book curator because, like I said, there's hundreds of thousands of cookbooks, and I can't have them all, and I, frankly, don't want them all in the store either. So I get to pick the ones that I think have value beyond just a set of recipes. So, so that's fun. And as a business owner, what you see here is the bookstore, but there's a lot of back end stuff. So I get to utilize my diverse skill set. I'm a great generalist. I do a lot of things pretty well.
Cool.
Nothing really well, but a lot of things very okay. No, I'm just joking. But, like we do marketing and PR, and we do all the things that come with every business. But it just kind of all fits together really nicely. It's kind of like a package in this store, in a bookstore setting. So,
and being on Alberta,
I love that.
It just fits, and it all just works really well.
Well, there are 5 bookstores on this street.
Seriously?
Yeah, and 4 of them are in these 2 blocks. And they're all niche specialty bookstores. So somebody wrote an article about that recently. It was Portland Monthly.
Yeah,
I apologize. I don't remember who wrote that. But there's Monograph Bookworks is across the street. It's an art bookstore. And then Parallel Worlds is a science fiction bookstore. And then we're the cookbook store, obviously. And Melville is just a used general books store. And then down the street a couple blocks, I think at 15th is Green Bean Books. And they're kids' books.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Very cool.
Yeah, so it's nice. And then with the addition of the new Hotel Hot Springs Cascada down the street, we're already seeing folks who are, doing more tourism focused activities on Alberta Street. And because there's such good food on Alberta Street, then they don't have to really go anywhere. They just walk down the street and do this one day and that another day, and
I have a funny story
winery the next day
that I'm not going to share on this podcast about my birthday one night on Alberta Street.
Oh my.
It's a good one.
Should we open the wine now so you can tell us the story?
You mean, it was a goodie.
Oh, well, I can't wait to hear. I have to remember to ask you.
Yeah.
So you were talking about the cookbooks. I want to go back to that just for a minute because I am currently reading My Life in France by Julia Child.
Oh, wonderful.
And she talks so much, to publish that first book, she just went through it and through it and through it and through it. And then she sent it out to some people that she could trust not to, share it and let them go through it and through it. And she just kept going back. Those recipes must have been checked. I'm not kidding, maybe 10 times through. And I was so impressed with that what it takes to really make a good recipe that people can follow and it makes sense,
This is true. About the writing of recipes and cookbooks, like people like Julia were consummate professionals. One, she had to kind of fight her way to get that book published. So she inherently was like fighting this battle and being, you know, a great editor and a great recipe writer.
Mm-hmm.
And then for many years after her, I think that there was a profession of recipe writing and cookbook writing, and professionals kind of handled that. And then chefs kind of came onto the scene writing cookbooks, or being the people that publishers picked up. And I think that kind of happened in the, you know, early 2000s, 2010s. We were seeing a lot of chef cookbooks, and we're still seeing some recipe writer cookbooks. And then we had the pandemic, and then now we see books from people who have, you know, a lot of Instagram followers. We see, you know, people who maybe weren't chefs or even like really great home cooks are getting cookbooks. And so what does that do to a cookbook? And what does that mean when you buy a cookbook and read a recipe? So, you know, I try to help with that, you know, by picking books that are well vetted. But, you know, I can't test every recipe in every book that I bring into the store either. So some publishing companies and some editors and some people in the book industry are really ensuring that we're getting a good end product. But that's also why I said, like, whatever your fundamental skill set is as a cook, like that's really your foundation. That's really where the you know, the guts of what you're doing are. You have to be able to take a cookbook, and if you have a recipe that it only gives you the information that it gives you. So if it doesn't tell you something, like you may have a question that arises, and then you have to figure out how to, you know, answer that question. So I think a recipe should be a guide and not a set of rules.
Agreed.
And I think that you have to be able to do some problem solving within a recipe. You know, hopefully you're getting the right ratio of ingredients and general techniques, but maybe you have to figure out what a recipe writer means by something, or if something isn't working out, are you going to ride the sinking ship? You know, so there's a bit of balance. Like you've got to follow what's on the paper to a certain extent, but you also shouldn't be bound to it. So yeah, not all recipes are written so that they're highly executable or non-frustrating. So
it just shouldn't be taken so dogmatic and literal, like you said. I mean, there has to be, because it is cooking inherently, there has to be some emotion, there has to be some instinct, and there has to be some fudge factor. It's like, read it and it's a guideline, you know, but you're gonna have to play with it, because you're not gonna have access to some of those ingredients or such things. You know, you're not gonna have access to this and that, and you gotta mess with it. And which is why, you know, some people get really, really frustrated and some people don't. Or when you go to a restaurant and you see something that was poorly executed, it's like, you have all this stuff here. You know, if somebody at home is having trouble, that makes sense. This is not what they do. But go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I think the thing that I learned in her book, as I've said before on these podcasts, John's the cook, I am not. How he survived my feeding him he pretty much started cooking himself at 13 or something like that. Anyway, but it's about knowing processes. You know, if I heat this up to this, what's really going to happen to this thing I have in the pot? Or if I take too long, or I need to do it short, or, you know, understanding processes, I think, is really helpful when you're...
Absolutely. Understanding some techniques, you know, roasting and sauteing and boiling and simmering. Those are, you know, things that you can master. But also using your senses, because cooking is a sensory experience.
100%.
Like from picking your raw ingredients, like, you know, smelling and touching your fruit, to tasting seasonings, and to visual presentation, like all of it is sensory. So, you know, use your intuition. I think MFK Fisher said that you can, that's what you need, are your five senses, and you know, 100%. A pot and a wooden spoon or something like that. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, it's about senses.
What's your favorite thing to make? Or do you have?
Oh goodness. I mean, it's like, what's my favorite thing to eat is more more the question. Well, no. Let me answer your question.
Okay.
My favorite thing to make is easy things.
Yeah.
Like, I'm kind of lazy in the kitchen.
Mm.
Yeah, I think about cleanup, and I think about, like, I don't want too many ingredients, and I don't want laborious techniques in my cooking. I want to just extract kind of the pure rusticity of, I like to work from seasonal, fresh produce. And I like to work from like dried goods, like beans and rice and grains. And I don't care to buy anything that's packaged. So, you know, a good meal for me has a couple of elements. It has, I don't know. It has a couple of elements. It looks pretty and it tastes good. Yeah. And I think that's what I like to cook, are things that are simple but really flavorful. And then I like to eat from the globe. I like making a lot of Asian foods. I really like Japanese flavors. I love Vietnamese flavors quite a bit. Not to exclude the people, you know, the cultures that I'm not mentioning. I kind of like everything. And I really like Mexican food and Mesoamerican food, if you will. So our Three Sisters and corns, beans, and squash feel good to me.
Cool. You know, when you eat seasonally, the thing that I at least what happens for me is that, you know, oh, I'm going to go buy this lovely squash or whatever it is you're going to go to the farmer's market and you're going to get this nice, fresh, you know, out of the garden vegetable. And then you do what you do to it. But then for me, it deepens my experience, because then I'm tasting more for the squash flavors, you know, and I'm identifying that as squash. You know, I don't know if I'm making any sense, but sometimes when you put a lot of stuff together, you don't taste the individual.
You're going for the pure essence of the vegetable. I love roasted squash. Well, so do I.
Yeah,
with a little harissa or a little like Chio pistachio butter drizzled over it, or, you know.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm addicted to that stuff.
Like, you don't want to overwork flavors or food, right? Because if you're eating like delicious, if you're starting with raw delicious ingredients, it doesn't take much to, you know, blanch a green bean, for example, and then dress it.
I always go back to, you know, the idea of Spanish tapas, and they just got it right. You know, the things are in season, full of flavor. You just need no more than 3 things. Yeah. And you're done.
And the other part of the Spanish tapa is that they give you food with your drink, so that you're not sitting there just consuming alcohol with nothing to eat. Yeah. So I think brava.
Brava.
Brava España.
Yeah.
Ole.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, we're lucky here in Portland to have the opportunities we have to get good fresh food. And, you know, I'm becoming more and more, having just recently moved here, I'm becoming more and more familiar with some of those places. And, you know, I remember the first time I walked in the farmer's market at, is it PS?
The PSU market?
Yeah. And I'm looking at these gorgeous asparagus that are just standing up on their ends, and they just look gorgeous. I mean, it's just, you just want to like, right there, just eat it raw. Yeah. You know, and these beautiful, different, and they're just the pure essence of what they are. Yeah. So I attempted a raw diet for a while, and I'm not sure I might go back to it. I just, you know, because the essence of what that little thing is, you know.
Yeah, but I feel like you can just coax out a little more with some heat.
Oh, absolutely.
Without like
little heat, little sea salt,
overcooking or even like really cooking things. Like a crudité platter with just like raw broccoli or cauliflower to me is a no-no. I think you need to blanch that in some salted water, and it still presents like it's raw, but it's different. It tastes a lot better.
Well, yeah, and that is what helps some of those flavors come out.
Yeah,
is what you're doing to it.
Absolutely.
I agree.
It's just a the fundamentals of how food works.
It's just there.
Well, you've talked me into not going back to raw.
I mean, some things raw,
Yeah.
but everything in moderation, I think, is, you can have the best thing in the world, but if it's all you ever have, you're going to tire of it.
Sure.
Except for the pistachio butter.
In moderation.
Yeah, I'm
if
going
you were
through-
only
sure.
eating pistachio butter, I mean,
I'm so addicted to that
I
stuff.
wouldn't want to share the house with you.
Funny way to put it.
But I love that.
That stuff's. I'm just so.
Yeah, no,
addicted.
I'm
stuck
their
on
biggest
it.
fan too. But a little bit goes a long way, and it really brings out everything else that you put it on. So.
One of the things that I've always really appreciated about this place is this pantry sense of the things that you need. I know Dean's going to get some stills of some different shots around, and for those who have visited here,
shots.
For those who are local and who have been here, you know what we're talking about, and those who haven't, get in here. It's just, there's just this wonderful sense here, and there's just this sense of connection, and it's like, there's not like this three-dimensional, you're going somewhere and you feel out of touch with something. And that's an energy that you bring, I think, that is very, very special, and your individual sense and the energy that you bring in here, I think it's magic. Oh. And I remember seeing you at Wild Bunch, maybe it was last year's. And, there you were with the kind of cookbook store set up and reading a book amongst the masses
What's that?
of the day. And I just thought, that's awesome. Like, that is a cool thing. And something that's just, it's special and it's unique. And I just, me coming from such a heavy food background for so many decades in all the realms, it's just, this is a fun, special place. And seeing how you take it and use this space to have those events and to have the authors and to have people come in and different things throughout the week, throughout the months for different community causes and different ideas about things. It's like presenting much more than just.
Well, I'm so glad that you say that, because that's our mission as a business owner. The mission of this store is to create community around food sovereignty. So we're already kind of touching on food sovereignty, which is like eating fresh, produce from as close to the source as you can get, and then kind of supplementing that with, dried beans and grains and such, and being able to cook from that kind of a pantry. That, to me, that's food sovereignty, is having access to that produce primarily. Yeah. And some of the supplementary things that, go with the produce. I guess that's the dried rice and beans. But then the second part of food sovereignty is like, okay, you went to the farmer's market and you got all this beautiful produce, and there it is. What are we going to do with all of this produce? And, you don't want your refrigerator to be a place where vegetables go to die.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's being able to utilize all of that produce and to do it efficiently and economically as well, you know. And so I think that the cookbooks help build that part of food 100%. Sovereignty. So even if I can't grow my own food, I can choose my food sources, because I do have that privilege, and equity and food justice for everybody is another topic. But here at this store, what we want to do is create community around the concept of food sovereignty, one part being access to the food and the second part being able to utilize it. So we do that with cookbook authors, and we bring people in and we talk about their books, and we do that with our classes, because that's what I teach you in the classes. Those I call book workshops. So we pick a book and we work from the book, and we'll be, whatever the book is, we're going to address it seasonally, and I'm going to shop for it in that manner. Yeah. And then we, approach the cooking fundamentals that help make you better able to interpret a recipe out of a cookbook. Cool. So yeah, that's what we do. And then I really like that you said you like the feeling that you get when you come in here. A lot of people say, oh, it feels like you're at home. And it does, we've got a kitchen where we're sitting, we have a dining room, and, it's kind of like we're in a library kitchen here, which feels really cool. And everybody wishes they had a library kitchen. I wish I did.
I do.
I mean, I do. I did it for
Right.
you. But I also think you kind of struck the essence of, you know, what's happening here and in this space and what I do. Who am I as an entrepreneur? And I like to say that I'm an experiential artist, and this is a semi-permanent installation of my work.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, it really does. I was talking with Dean, who's doing our filming, a little bit about, you know, well, let me straighten this up. Let me fidget this little cluttered area, because it's a lot of merchandising and psychology that creates the feeling around us. And, you know, even, you know, what books are facing out so that they catch your eye. That's something that, you know, it's easy, but it's important. If the shelves don't look cute, people don't read them the same way. So yeah, so you are immersed in my art installation, and you are all welcome to come here Thursday through Monday from 12 to 6 p.m.
There you go.
Thursday through Monday.
And I wanted to ask about the classes. How would people find out about them? Do you have a sign-up sheet? Do you do a newsletter?
It's all on our website.
On your website.
You go to the event calendar on the website.
Of course. I should have got that.
That's okay. You know, people ask a lot. So
Yeah.
very common.
Well, cool. I'm glad.
Frequently asked question.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I mean, that's really nice that you say that, and I appreciate that you see my work as an artist.
100%.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thanks for coming.
So
That's so
appreciate it.
fun.
Oh,
You
it is so fun.
two are just the sweetest. I love y'all.
Oh, I love you back.
It's mutual. I'm glad that Dana introduced us to all those a
Yeah.
year ago at Wild Bunch.
So am I. Yeah.
That's very cool.
Thank you.
So,
Yeah, thanks. We love you. We love being here. Thank you, Dean, for manning the ones and twos, as they say. And smash the likes, get on the Instagram and all the things, and follow Vivienne Culinary, you know, the cookbook store, and support Robin in the place, support us and all the things. This is where all the things come together.
Hit that like button. Hit that share button.
That's it. Hit all the things.
Exactly.
And we'll see you out there. Peas and water, y'all. Thank you.
Oh, that was great, you guys. That was fun.
Were you okay with it?
Yeah, I think we covered all kinds of good stuff.
We did all the things.
It was short. It ended before I thought it would. So.
It was short.